Before I go on with this video, man, I'm going to let you know that the link will be here in the pinned comment. It'll be in the description. And you can take advantage of the best benefits club in Brazil. You can exchange points for products, experiences, concerts. It's awesome. It's the Million Picks. The QR code is on the screen. 100% regulated by SUSEP. There are instant prizes and everything else. But I'll explain what you can't miss, because now a new journey of the Million Picks is starting. Along with buying and exchanging points for products and experiences, you can also win great prizes. Yeah, big prizes and a chance to win every day. Yeah, look, Raspal won. He found it. NA now has prizes of up to 20,000. So now there are more prizes and amounts up to 20,000. On Monday, Dream Monday, your week starts with 100,000 waiting for a fantastic prize. And Tuesday is also a prize day, okay? You can join in and make sure you have 40,000 every Tuesday to transform your week, okay? So there's 40,000 on Tuesday, okay? And Wednesday is limitless, 100,000 reais. Also waiting for you is another chance, an interesting amount for you to keep dreaming. Big one, okay, top Thursday, look at that, look at that, top Thursday, 40,000 raise. Okay, another chance for another interesting prize. And then the Friday of Joy, okay, you have another 100,000 raise waiting in a drawing on Friday. And on Saturday, every Saturday, 40,000 to transform your week and to close the week with a golden key with 4 winners of 10,000 reais each. That's a lot of prizes. Okay, so to sum up, there are drawings all week long. And on the 16th, okay, you also have a chance on the 16th, which is coming up soon. Time flies, and there's a prize of 1 million reais, okay? All these prizes are already happening. They're already going on. You can start participating in the Million Picks as early as this Monday. So take advantage right now, because our code is on the screen. And then my friends, man, I'm really happy, you know? Red Black greetings, this is Flamengo. Welcome to the Paparazzo Rubro-Negro channel. If you're just arriving, I invite you to follow, like, and share on all platforms. If you're on YouTube, I invite you to subscribe down below, turn on notifications by clicking the bell, and leave a cool like on the video. Man, I'm like this on a day, a blessed day, a wonderful day. I saw Zico, right? For those who know this meme, this video of Costinha, I saw Zico, I'm like this, I saw Zico, right? Something like that happened to me, unbelievable. And yesterday I was fishing with my family and I got a message. Zico's son, Thiago, who's been my friend for years since we were young, invited me to have dinner at Zico's house. He lives about 5 miles from me in the United States. And man, when I looked at my phone, there was a message from Zico too. Obviously, I know Zico. I talked to Zico, but not that much. Are you really going to wait for Zico to wish you a Happy New Year? I didn't send a Happy New Year message first because you don't want to bother him, right? You always feel like you're bothering them, right? That's how some big idols are. Zico wished me a Happy New Year, and I, well, replied, said, hey, it's a pleasure to get this Happy New Year from you. And then he said, look, I'm waiting for you at my house here today, Zico, man. I'm waiting for you at my house. For me, even though I know the family and I'm friends with Zico, Thiago, and Bruno, right? I'm really good friends with Thiago. But for me, that's still surreal. It's still surreal for you yourself. When you meet Zico, when you get a message from Zico inviting you to his house, it's surreal. So I stopped by a famous store here, Target, and bought a wine for him. I brought a gift that I had already set aside to give to Zico. It's a fantastic gift. And I went, man, yeah, I need to say this here. For me, Zico is the greatest idol in my life, you know? And soccer's greatest idol, known for his humility and simplicity. His son told me that today he's at the amusement park. I won't say which park, but he's at the amusement park. Everyone stops for pictures with him and he takes care of them all. And I was impressed by the way I was received. He invited me to go to his house. He had a seat next to him at the table waiting. I asked Linedi, us to welcome me. I sat at the table with him, ate barbecue, sitting down, eating barbecue from the same plate as him, man. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And then I found out about the projects that are coming. He talked a lot about Arrascaeta, talked a lot about Pedro. We talked about Roberto Dinamite, about their friendship. We talked about several other moments in his career, about important goals, about the first goal of his that I saw at Maracana. We talked about the goal against Criciúma, a goal where the ball goes like this. Look, it was really nice and cool. It was such a magical moment in my life since I was always in touch with Zico. You've already seen him joking around, calling me a heckler, messing with me and all that at Gavia, at Ninho. But this moment it was a family situation, you know? It really got to me. It was cool and nice. And we were talking about what he's gonna do, things he's gonna do, and all that. I asked how his channel was doing. He said there are some expensive things. There's a big project coming up for YouTube. We're waiting for it. He said there's a big project coming for YouTube. Zico might return as well, in addition to his work on Flamengo television. And we talked about what he's going to do here in Orlando. And then he told me about Casa Zico, man. Casa Zico. Remember that name. Actually, don't just remember it. Go check it out right now. I'll leave the link here in the pinned comment in the chat, also pinned. And you can already get in touch to check it out. For you to invest and become a partner of Zico, man, you can be a partner of Zico at Casa Zico. What is that? He is building a themed house here in Orlando with the trophies, the memorabilia, with everything. It's his themed house. And then you're going to come stay in Orlando. And you'll be able to stay at Zico's house, at Zico's. It's a house that he's going to represent. Man, you know those themed houses like Marvel, Star Wars, man. There will be a Zico house from Flamengo featuring Zico himself. Not just at Flamengo, but Zico's moments overall. Obviously, there's Flamengo because Zico and Flamengo are hard to separate. But look, it's impressive, and I wanted to get the most out of this experience I had with him. Yeah, he called friends and so on. We talked with mutual friends. So I was there sitting next to him, and then a video call came in from Roger Flores, really affectionately. He's an amazing guy, really impressive. It's Dinho, man. Former player, people would call him. It's impressive how his friends from soccer keep calling him. It's impressive being beside him and seeing everyone call him. And he talked about Pedro. At the table, everyone worried Pedro might feel overlooked amid all the talk about Caio Jorge. I said, no, because Flamengo is going to reach out to Pedro to renew. Flamengo is going to do it. Zico, at one point, he said, man, because Pedro is fantastic to me. Pedro is the best striker in Brazilian football. Zico said that Pedro is the best striker in Brazilian football. And then Zico talked about the matter of Pedro, right? We joked about it. I told him I often call Pedro the Brazilian Ibra, and then Zico responded, perfect, it's true. He liked my definition, calling Pedro the Brazilian Ibra because of the quality of everything he can do, even though he's tall. And Thiago, Zico's son, right? Thiago Coimbra, he also said the same thing. He said, man, Pedro's quality is impressive, and we talked about that for a long time. Then we talked about Arrascaeta, man. And the way he talked to Arrascaeta, actually, we were talking with Arrascaeta's agent, Daniel Fonseca, who played in the Game of the Stars. We made a call with Daniel Fonseca. We talked to Daniel by audio. And And Zico, I'm not going to show it because, man, it's a private thing. There's no reason for me to play the audio, but we can tell what happened. Zico really praised Daniel's participation. And then we talked and all. When we hung up, I talked about Arrascaeta, man, and Zico agreed with me. And we were talking about humility, idolatry, like Arrascaeta. Now I remembered Zico saying how Arrascaeta is different as a human being. Not just as a star player, he's a star both on and off the field. And I was really happy, man, to hear those things. And I thought it was really cool too. Zico, you know, man, he's a fantastic idol. He was talking about who he had as an idol, that he liked Emerson Fittipaldi, that he watched all of Emerson Fittipaldi's races back in the old days and all. And that he was a big fan of Nelson Piquet. Usually people are big fans of Ayrton Senna, but Zico was a huge fan of Nelson Piquet. Man, I found all of that so different, so cool to hear. What's up? He talked about his friendship with Roberto Dinamite, how he tried to bring Roberto Dinamite to play with him at Flamengo, but Eurico didn't allow it. But what happened? It was a moment when I asked, but how would it be? Would you play with Roberto Dynamite at Flamengo? He said they never lost when they played together. On the Brazilian national team, he was with us. He always did great. Just imagine him at Flamengo. So, man, any amazing topics like that? We talked about, for example, the idols each of us had, right? And then I told him that I thought he and Pele were beyond. Such a time on top of everything, right? They were two great idols and all. And then obviously people at the table were saying, no, but Pele, no. Overall, he doesn't have your kind of idol worship. Zico disagrees. Zico always says, no, Pele played really well. Pele played really well. Then others at the table who knew people who played with Pele said, no, but did anyone play with both Pele and you? He said, you played better, but Zico disagrees. No, Pele is much more. Pele is much more, and so on. I told Zico, okay, guys, I said, man, you are a complete idol because you are an idol in everything as a human being. Humility, soccer, and you're the idol of the biggest fan base in the world, right, man? And do you have that advantage? And he was really happy, man. I thought that was fantastic. We talked too, and about the striker, right, that Flamengo is trying to sign. I asked him about the options. He likes Caio Jorge, but thinks Pedro. For comparison, Pedro is the best in Brazil. Like I said, Zico considers Pedro the best in Brazil. And by the way, guys, look at Pedro, right? He posted a video and got Flamengo fans excited. There's a video of Pedro. Look at this. Pedro, are you guys seeing this during the vacation? Training to reach Atinindo Flamengo in 2026. It's the start of the season. Pedro showing that he's there training. Look at this. Pedro wants to reach Atinindo in 2026, okay? And he's the player that Zico considers the best center forward in Brazilian football. So, guys, I thought it was important to bring all this up, and I asked Zico about Marcos Leonardo, right? What does he think of the name Marcos Leonardo? Zico told him that for me, he's a very good player, a very good player. That's a very good opinion, right? Marcos Leonardo, striker for Al Hilal, is a player that Zico sees very positively. If Flamengo signed Zico, we talked, me, Zico, and Thiago, their understanding is different from Pedro's, okay? It's not like Caio Jorge, but it's closer to him than to Pedro. So, talking to Zico's family, to Zico's friends, everyone is saying, look, Marcos Leonardo is a name. He's interesting, and he's not like Pedro. No, he's not like Pedro. He changes Pedro's profile, is more mobile, but that's still uncertain. Zico praised Pedro a lot. Zico put Pedro on a top shelf in world football. So I'm going to move on to other news here, bring you the transfer market updates. Just a reminder, I'll leave the link here so you can get to know the place. Zico, okay? And is it still available this month? Zico is coming here to Orlando and we'll bring you the details soon. I'll show you the house. I'm meeting Zico again and you'll get to be very close. Or you'll have two chances. Either you'll be Zico's partner or you'll stay at Zico's house, right? A themed house all about Zico, made by Zico. For Flamengo fans, for Japanese fans, for fans around the world who dream of being in a space totally themed around Zico. That's amazing, right? Can you imagine? Will you pick Marvel, Star Wars, or Zico? You'll pick Zico. Here's an important piece of information for us to share. São Paulo might have Fluminense and Bahia as competitors in the signing. Flamengo, now knowing that São Paulo doesn't want to release Marcos, Antonio might consider other options. According to journalist Valentim Furlan from Universo Online, Fluminense and Bahia have made contact regarding the 28-year-old player. There are still no official offers on the table for Flamengo's management, but São Paulo and Bahia also want to sign midfielder Allen, who is seen as negotiable at Flamengo. But for him to leave, Flamengo will sign another midfielder. If he doesn't leave, Flamengo won't sign a midfielder. At least that's the information. Flamengo is pursuing Marcos Antonio, so he may leave. Look, Vitão asked Flamengo's management, the new signing for Mengo, asked Flamengo's management to play with the number 44 jersey. As far as I remember, this jersey was used by Mauricio Isla, right? 44. So, according to Vene Casagrande, he requested the management to use the number 44 jersey, the same one he wore during his time at International. Okay, and this number 44 jersey was also the jersey, right? If I'm not mistaken that he wore, I'm remembering this. It's Mauricio Isla at Flamengo, okay? God willing, it will bring Vitão a lot of luck at Flamengo. Mauricio, let me share some information we mentioned earlier but didn't notify, so we're bringing it up again. As reported by Portuguese journalist Pedro Almeida, not to be confused with Pedro Ivo Almeida, Flamengo has identified the forward Luiz Soares from Sporting as a possible reinforcement for the team led by Felipe Luiz. However, Sporting's management does not intend to open talks for a possible negotiation in this transfer window. They value the player everyone is talking about. Yeah, right. Portuguese clubs are in a good financial situation and all, but they're obviously going to try to make things difficult, right? So they don't intend to open talks for a possible negotiation in this transfer window. Considering the Colombian, who's an important part of the squad and valued at around 22 million euros, okay, it's not Luis Soares, the Uruguayan striker, all right? At 28 years old, Luis Soares has 11 goals and 2 assists in just 15 matches played in the 25-26 season, all right? So the player's numbers are really good. It's practically a direct goal involvement per game. Okay, 0.90 something per game is an interesting number, all right, for Luis Soares. It's about Allen that I was talking about here just now. São Paulo gave up on signing Gastão Ávila. Okay, and that's why they're ahead of Fluminense and Grêmio. Okay, it's Fluminense and Bahia, right? Is it Grêmio too, he asked. They also inquired about Everton, Araujo, Allen, but São Paulo then gave up on Gastão Ávila and moved forward with Allen. And the information, contrary to what they were saying, is about Allen. He does want to transfer, yes, to get more playing time, and he believes that at São Paulo he can get more minutes than at Flamengo, right? With Felipe Luiz, he hasn't been playing, and the same thing is happening with Matias Vinha, who is going to River Plate, with the obligation to buy 50% of his rights after Vinha has played 50% of the season's matches. Okay, it's an easy goal, so this purchase obligation is very likely to happen. Honestly, I don't think that's good. I've already mentioned here 50% of the value. You'll never get the other 50% back because it's unlikely he'll be sold again for a high price by River. After that, I don't agree. For me, it should have been the full amount, but they decided that. What can you do? I'm against this deal for Vinha, okay, guys? I would rather keep the player than give him more playing time in 2026. Alexandre Virimestre also got injured last year because he's already at an advanced age. He might end his career, he might retire. So I can't understand this move by Flamengo, this desperation from Flamengo to negotiate like this. Then Vinha, Matias Vinha, who I honestly think is spectacular. Look, the vice president of Cruzeiro explained the refusal to Flamengo for Caio Jorge and said he's optimistic that former Flamengo player Gerson will bring, should I read the quote here? We understand that at this moment the values are relatively low for what he represents to the club. Top scorer in both the Brazilian Championship and Brazil Cup, a talented young player. So we understand that the amount offered by Flamengo is below what Cruzeiro expects. We are not going to sell any player at any cost to any club. Today, we can say that we don't depend on selling players to keep the club running. This fact reassures the coaching staff. He also talks about Gerson. He's a player we're negotiating with. It's not an easy negotiation. I've already said that Gerson's father says it's very close to being announced. Cruzeiro says it's not that close. It's a negotiation that will last a few days because he's at a big club in Russia and because of Gerson's greatness, like a good guy from Minas Gerais over there. We're negotiating with him slowly, day by day. Yeah, we have high expectations, but we know it's not an easy negotiation. We're working on it, and who knows, maybe we'll have a happy ending. Regarding Gerson, he wants to return to Brazilian football, and Cruzeiro is one of his options. So is Gerson close to coming back then? And the vice president of football at Cruzeiro Football. No, sorry guys, it's the vice president. Let me check again. Look, it's Pedro Jr. Okay, he's the vice president. That's football, right? He also talked about the issue of, look, we're not going to sell any players at any cost and so on. And then he talks about the players he'd like to have in the deal. Okay. He states that they didn't ask for Cebolinha's name. Okay. The offers were received naturally by the club, and there was no request from Cruzeiro to involve Cebolinha. Okay. He also mentioned forward Luiz Araujo and midfielder Everton Araujo, acknowledging their interest in both players. Okay, yeah, he says here, look. Today, we can say that we don't depend on selling players to keep the club running, and that's a fact that reassures the coaching staff. Tite and the coaching staff requested keeping the squad together for 2026, so he's making it clear there, right? They know Flamengo's offer is less than Cruzeiro expects, and that Cebolinha's name was not requested. Tite has a positive opinion but wasn't involved in this negotiation. If we're talking about players, it's the ones they're truly interested in. Luiz Araujo and Everton Araujo, okay, those are the ones they're interested in. And then Flamengo backs out because Everton Araujo is going to play really well, okay? Has he played yet? He had an amazing season with 25 appearances, and I think he'll be one of Brazil's top defensive midfielders. He has quality and has moved beyond the crucial phase young academy players face. Now he's the real deal. Yes, and he's another great talent revealed by Flamengo. And Luiz Araujo, my friends, he's decisive. He plays a lot. We can't let our guard down. No, he can't join another club, but age is an issue. Leave him there. Flamengo doesn't need to negotiate the player. Just leave him there. Let Flamengo make the most of Luiz Araujo because he's got a lot of quality. I'm a big fan of Luiz Araujo. Follow, like, and share on all platforms. If you're on YouTube, please subscribe, turn on notifications, and like the video. Hello, red and black fans. This is Flamengo. Thanks. Goodbye.